Hello again, it's Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit, talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. Normally, I'm in the Hercules Tires studios, Ashley's in our Lethal Chassis studios in Pennsylvania, but we're on the road all week long. We're taping this from Houston Speedway. So cool to be back at the racetrack.
Yes, and I'm excited because I've never got to see Houston, let alone Jackson. So first time for me, and staring out in the background here is the Houston racetrack. Absolutely incredible. This place, what Todd Fearing has done with his group, phenomenal.
I'll never forget when we first pulled into Jackson, Erin Evernham, our co-host on the wingnation.com side, she had raced Jackson before. We pulled in, she looks around at this show place and she said, this is not the old Jackson I remember. When Todd Fearing puts his finger or stamp on something, he does a really good job, and really pretty exciting this whole week up here for the showdown. Amazing what they put together. It's almost like their own speed week, and a lot of money on the line, and all the top stars are here.
A ton of money, and that $100,000 bonus. If somebody can win Tuesday's show at Houston and the Saturday show at Jackson, 100 extra thousand smackers.
Absolutely, man. I'll tell you what, Ed is fantastic. Really good. And speaking of Todd Fearing, we're going to talk to his driver, David Gravel, here on Wing Nation. So always great to talk to David, isn't it?
Yes, he's so level-headed and so honest. That's what I love about him.
Man, I'll tell you what, I love talking to him here on Wing Nation. I love walking in the pits, and he'll be sitting there, and we'll just jaw about anything. He just is.
He's always willing to chat.
He's always willing to chat, exactly. So neat stuff, that is for sure. Now, if you've been following along on Wing Nation, you know we are teeing up the Dryden death-defying move of the week, okay? And if you watched last week, you saw Danny Dietrich get passed on the last lap.
Happened again.
This is not a replay. Oh, no, this is Portsmouth. Paul McMahon is the guy that did it. It's from the Dean Niddle Memorial worth $17,554. Here's our friend Blake Anderson with the call on Flow Racing.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track move.
This time by, the white flag will fly. One to go for Danny Dietrich and Hunter Schorberg down to the inside. Three-car battle for the lead. Paul McMahon goes around the outside down to backstretch. Final two left-hand turns coming up. Off of turn number 4, Paul McMahon will win the Dean Niddle Memorial.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Deaf, the official deaf of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Pride. Passion. Performance. We are Team Dryden.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Joining us is the driver for Todd Fearing's big game team, and what is it? David Gravel joins us. What's the name of the team? I still am old school with Big Game. Is it still Big Game Motorsports?
It's Big Game Motorsports, just doesn't have Big Game tree stands on the side anymore.
I think that's what tripped me up. We have spent all this week at Todd's home tracks. Todd Fearing, your team owner, the home tracks, Houston's for the Houston's 50 and Jackson Nationals, of course, this weekend. David, can you just share a little bit about his passion for racing and all that he puts into your team and the sport in general?
Yeah, for sure. He's obviously a really rare person to not only own a team, but own tracks. You know, I think Tony Stewart's the only other guy to do that. So, but not only to buy one track, to buy a second track, and then just continue to upgrade everything. You guys been to Jackson years ago when it first started, when he bought it, to what it is now is crazy. And here at Houston's, they made the campgrounds way bigger and got plug-ins and water ran. So, you know, they just continue to try to make the fan experience better and obviously have a good on-track product as well. So he's a really good guy, and he obviously loves sprint car racing a lot.
It's incredible what he's done with the facilities for sure. But David, what's it like racing for him? Is he pretty involved in the day-to-day stuff, or is he just a kind of check in, make sure everything's going on? Where does he really fit into your team?
Yeah, he's not involved too much. I think he's a pretty busy guy. He's big into property stuff, and he's got his hunting companies, and he's got his racetrack. So he's a busy man. He checks in every once in a while. He'll text us after the races, and we'll talk. You know, if it's maybe once a week, if not every 2 weeks. But he believes in us, which is a really good feeling, and he knows even if we have an off night that we'll get it figured out, and everything's going to be all right. So he's a super easy owner to work with, and so far it's gone really well.
Yeah, I would say it seems like it's going well. 5 wins this season, right up there at the top of the point standings, battling for the championship with Brad. The next in line as we're recording this. David, when we look at your season, kind of assess the good, the bad, the ugly, how has it been for you?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty good overall. Having 5 wins at this point is pretty solid. You know, that's not easy to do. We'd like to have as many wins as Brad, but I think that's going to come in time. If we get to double digits, it'd be really, really cool to do that, because that's just not easy to do. I've done it and I've not done it, so you know that it's you got to be very good throughout the whole season. But I think our season's gone pretty well. You know, we've had some runs outside the top 10, but when we do, they're 11th or 12th. So hopefully our car keeps staying in races, and I don't make any wrong decisions and get any accidents, and continue to finish races. And that's what's really, really important, and what's keeping us really close. And it seemed like in the beginning of the year we struggled to get podiums, but here lately we've been knocking off quite a bit of podiums, and that's just going to turn into more wins as well. So I think it's going really well.
Obviously, those podiums have been stacking up, but still short of the win. Is there something specific? Is it just still trying to mesh with that crew? Is it something, you know, that the car is lacking? What is it that's kind of the last step to find those wins start rolling in?
Well, it's a bad excuse, but it's the driver that sucks at dash draws. That's a little bit of it. But it just seems like we're good enough to be there at the end, just never have a chance to, I guess, challenge for the lead or the win. I feel like we're always finishing in third, right on second, and the leader's not too far away. But Beaver Dam the other night, it was fairly fast and had a decent amount of grip, and we raced well, just kind of ran out of laps. So I think a little bit's track position, and we were leading at Dubuque and got a flat tire. So it's all going to turn around dash-wise. I mean, it's a long season, so the odds say it'll all straighten out at some point. So we're just gonna keep working hard. If we keep having the race cars we've had the past couple of weeks, we'll win plenty of races.
David, we caught up with you early. I think it might have been February. It was right after Volusia, and you were at home in Florida. And what's funny about it is that behind you, Cody Jacobs goes walking by, and another crew guy goes by. How important was that time to mesh with these guys now that we're in the heart of the season, the traveling up and down the road? How important was that early get acquainted period that you had with those guys down at your place in Florida?
Yeah, it was good. Sometimes it's bad when you're with them too much. You need to get away. It's like, you know, a girlfriend or a wife or something. You got to get away for a little bit. But no, it was good. The thing is, I've known Trey and Cody for a long time. Our tire guy situation has changed since I last talked to you guys. We got Scotty Vogelson now, who is an extremely experienced guy. So we really have 3 awesome guys. We all get along good, and they're top-notch people, and that's hard to get nowadays. To turn over in sprint car racing for mechanics is insane. So we got really lucky getting Scotty when we did, and I think top to bottom we're very stout. So it was good getting to know him. I've known Trey since 2010, and probably Cody around the same time. So it's not like they were strangers to begin with, which really helped.
Yeah. The World of Outlaw community, it's a tight-knit group. There's not many. Once someone gets in, everyone kind of knows them. David, hang in there with us. Everyone else stick around. More with David Gravel in just a moment.
Hey, Ashley, what are you up to?
Oh, I just stopped by to grab some sage fruit apples. Now I just have to decide which ones.
You can never go wrong with a Honeycrisp. They're light, crisp, and full of perfectly balanced flavor.
Oh, hey.
You could always go with one of their classics, the Gala or Fuji. They're both sweet and juicy. Grown in the heart of eastern Washington, Sage Fruit Company works hard on the farm and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears to consumers all year long.
Well, I couldn't decide which ones. Thanks for the help, guys.
I'll race you to checkout.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. The Hercules Tires hotline is where we're at. We're talking to David Gravel, driver of the Big Game team, Big Game car, and rolling along through the summer. David, I kind of want to keep it, I want to go a little off track with you, but I do, while we're talking sprint car racing, all kinds of money this week with the showdown, but then we get into the month of money, and how important is it and setting yourself up for Eldora on into Knoxville? How important for this part of the season for you guys?
It's very important. Obviously, the whole season's important, but if you want to win races, it's the month of money and try to get those big crown jewel events, especially obviously Jackson pays well, but and Huset's, but what's up for grabs at Eldora is monumental, maybe something that will never happen ever again. Hopefully we never have a pandemic for a long time, but one of those things is if you win one of those races, it changes your whole season. If a guy is struggling but wins one King's Royal or two of them, I mean, if you win both King's Royals, that's as much money or way more than some people make an entire year in a sprint car. So it's very important, for us. I feel like we're working well together and hitting our stride, and we're excited to get back to a place like Eldora where we felt like we were off just a little bit. So usually these summer months are good to me. I love going to Lernerville for the Silver Cup and Williams Grove. Obviously, we have a lot of success at. So it's one of those things, you got to be good all the time, but it's a little cherry on top when you could win the month money races, that's for sure.
Absolutely. That money doesn't hurt anything. But David, before the break, you talked about kind of how your team's gelling, the camaraderie that you have. Not that I want to look at the negative aspect of it, but I really want to see a driver's honest opinion. Like, obviously, there are times that not everybody's going to agree. How do you guys handle that? How do you manage that? Feathers are going to be ruffled along the season, but you still have 40 plus races to go through this year. How do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, it's one of those things is you got to be mindful of everybody else. So you don't want to go in there and be like, oh, we need to do this, this, and this. You got to kind of work together and maybe let the crew chief does what he does and kind of see how that works out, and then maybe give him feedback and how we could maybe make that better moving forward. And I think that we're starting to hit on something that works every night, and I think we just fine tune that to get a little bit better in the heat race or dash, where we've been pretty good in the A main here lately. So it's one of those things is you just have to obviously talk to people with respect, but work together and, all right, let's try something and let's just assess how that is. And if it's good, all right, let's keep that in our bank. But if it's bad, let's throw that away and let's not make that mistake again. So it's definitely something that's a lot of fun and intriguing as a driver. I could never race a sprint car like I do at my level with me setting up the car entirely, but I feel like over the years, learning from Barry Jackson and Philip Dietz and Rob Hart and Tyler Swank, that I've learned a lot. And not, like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of everything and shock numbers, but I could recommend things and give them good feedback. And, hey, I think this right rear corner might be too stiff or too soft, and kind of keep us in a box where we're still pretty good no matter what.
David, off the racetrack, when we dial you up in February and March, you're the envy of the world because you're in Florida, you got your Mustang, you're down there doing stuff. Do you get a chance to play around with any of that during the summer, or do you get back to Florida, or do you escape the heat and spend a good part of the summer up north?
So I try to get home in Florida maybe once a month. When we get racing a lot here, month of money, I can't get home, but try to go home and visit Jill. Jill's coming this week for the showdown to hang out with us, and she'll go to Knoxville and Kings Royal and stuff like that. So we try to balance that out, but it's too hot in Florida for my car to go real fast. I got to wait till the weather cools down, but that's mostly winter fun. But usually in the summer months, I'm getting everything ready to go and prepared if I got to order parts or get things lined up, so I don't have to work on it during the off season. So Yeah, everything's good. Florida, it's been warmer up here. Today it's cool, but I mean, it's been 90. It was 100 when we were in North Dakota, and it was only like 88 in Florida. So it seems to be hot everywhere, but we're definitely happy for this little bit cooler weather here at Houston's for a couple days.
We always talk about racing and how family oriented it is. And I've always loved your family, David. You've got great supporters. How often does Big Dave and Maureen and your sisters get to the track? Because it's always great to see them.
So I just debuted my t-shirt trailer here like 3 weeks ago. So I got my own merchandise trailer, and I hired Victoria. She quit her job and she's out on the road with me, traveling up and down the road. I made her drive a couple times with the trailer, so that's going well. And I just finished lunch with my parents, so they flew in last night. And possible, and they can't because they're business owners and can't get away. So luckily they could come here. They'll be at Williams Grove and Weedsport and stuff like that, Knoxville. But my dad's really busy, and they would love to sell a business. So if anybody wants to buy a successful body shop in Connecticut, give us a call.
There you go. We're in the body shop sales business now. Okay, so we talked about the challenges of going up and down the road with the crew. Okay, the challenges of going up and down the road with your sister. Yeah, I mean, your sister's awesome. We know that. How is that working out?
Yeah, I guess I've been told I'm a mean brother sometimes, but just because I expect a lot, or I like things a certain way, but it's going well. I think Victoria, she's a really self-sufficient person, and she could do more than a normal girl. You know what I mean? She could get her hands dirty. She doesn't complain much. So she's good for the job, and everything's going well so far, but it's only been 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll see by Knoxville if she hates me or not.
That's funny. That is great. David, we're excited because we're spending all week watching you race this week. But we always appreciate it when we get a chance to talk to you here on Wing Nation. Thanks for the time and continued success throughout the season.
Thank you, guys. I'm sure I'll be seeing you plenty.
Yes, indeed. There we go. David Gravel joining us on the Hercules Tire Hotline. Stay with us. More in just a moment.
Power isn't born. It's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain. And we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
We're back here watching Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit, and it is time for the Tweet Your Seed Tweet of the Week. And since last week was Father's Day weekend, this one seems so appropriate. Tyler Simmons tweeted, it's him and his daughter taking in a World of Outlaws event. Nothing better than seeing those young kids, especially daddy and daughter.
Now, they were at Dubuque Speedway. Let's take a lap around the sprint car world, and we're going to start right there in Dubuque because Donnie Schatz, Mr. 300. My gosh, we've been
finally.
I know. It's been 32 races since he won. Okay. Now let's go back. Win number 1 was at Cottage Grove years and years and years ago. It was 1998. 299. What was it? 38 races
yes,
ago.
Absolutely. Cottage Grove in 98 in Oregon, then Williams Grove 38 races ago for just finally 300. Finally
over
300.
the top. Over the top. He's been close this season. 18 top 5s. How do you get 18 top 5s and not get a win out of it, especially when you're Donnie Schatz? But we talked to Lance. We talked to Lance after he got 100. He hit a little stumbling block. He said sometimes when you hit these milestones, you hit a stumbling block. And now Lance is up to 101, or maybe when you're watching this, right. 102 the way he goes. And we might see the same with Donnie Schatz. So it is neat. Good stuff. And his mom and dad were there.
Yes.
That was special. Dave Reeve did a great job on the dirt vision call. Okay, we're into turn number 2 now. Ohio Speedway. What a thriller this was every night of the week. The champion, little sunshine over there in Ohio. How about that, Tyler Courtney?
He's really doing good on that ASOC Tour, All-Star Circuit of Champions list. I can never say that acronym, right?
Yes, exactly. The All-Stars.
Yeah.
7 races, no worse than 11th. The top 5 in points. Danny Dietrich was second. Justin Peck, Cap Henry, Corey Eliason. And that Dean Nitto Memorial, what a race that was.
You know, they do so much for that. And we know the family personally. Great, great people. $17,554. Paul McMahon walked home like that.
How about that? I hope Paul negotiated a percentage deal with CJB Racing, because that's the ones you want to
Right,
win. How about that? All right. Off turn number 2 we go. We are headed right straight down the back straightaway in turn number 3. This is simply cool. Simply cool. Okay. We're going to talk a little NASCAR Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon. Okay. He was discovered with Thursday Night Thunder. Remember that back? Well, I don't know. You probably remember this. This kid over here, this child over here. Ashley, back in the day when we had to get up and turn the clicker from channel to channel, there was a program called Thursday Night Thunder. ESPN had racing.
Was it in color?
Oh my gosh, listen to her go. And Jeff Gordon was discovered there at this. It was huge. It was the talk of the town. It really was.
And then he was back in a midget at the Indy dirt track, and I love the tweet he posted.
Yeah.
Did you see it? It was a side-by-side from way back in the day to the current with his fists in the air. Really cool stuff.
Really fun stuff. The Clausens were involved with that. The Clausen Marshall Racing team was involved with that. Everybody had a good time. They're doing Thursday Night Thunder at IRP, but they're also doing the Driven to Save Lives BC 39. That's coming up August 19th and 18th and 19th for the midgets, and that is going into the NASCAR weekend. Jeff Gordon in a midget golf. That's like old school. You could probably, if you go on YouTube, you can probably find it. And maybe they've added color to it. They might have added color to it. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, they made it in stone tablets. Yes, they had to chisel it out in stone tablets. You kid. Oh, kids these days. You know what they say. All right. Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. All right. Through turns 3, off of turn number 4. Next Saturday, a really special time at Port Royal Speedway. It is the Greg Hodnett Classic at Port Royal, and sad but amazing what has come out of Greg's life.
Indeed. They do this he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, obviously, but they do this to keep the scholarship and keep his name and just the presence that Greg had at the track. I know it's still missed. The person that Greg was, everyone loved him. You know, he was very driven on what he did at the racetrack, but he was such a people person, even though you didn't always get to see that at the racetrack, but more so with the
off the racetrack. Absolutely. They have a survivor benefit package, and they're doing a 5K for benefit of that. And then the classic race, they have a survivor benefit. Should another family in Pennsylvania go through what Sherry has gone through, there's benefits for that. And they also do a scholarship. The first recipient of the scholarship is going to be announced next week at Port Royal. So kudos to Sherry, the Greg Hodnett Foundation, as we honor her late husband.
Yes,
so,
and I saw some really great stuff. They tweeted a helmet out that Greg wore back in the day.
Oh, and the run medal is an Oreo with a bite taken out of it. I love it. I love it. Hey, stay with us. Wing Nation coming up in just a moment.
I'm not ready yet. Come on. All right, I'm ready now.
Hey, Ashley, what are you up to?
I just I just stopped by to pick up my sage fruit apples. Now I just have to decide which ones.
Yeah, okay.
This is what it looks like when you do it.
Ta-da!
Take a deep breath, count to 5. It's like running across a rhythm section at a motocross track.
Mine was perfect.
Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit, continuing on here. We are recording this at Huset's, but as you're watching it, gearing up for the Jackson Nationals, we're going to have live Wing Nation shows all week long, 5 o'clock, all the way through Saturday. So if you're watching this on Wednesday, well, you know you can watch the rest of the week. If you're watching this on Saturday morning, you can watch us tonight at 5 o'clock on wingnation.com and all of our Facebook channels. But Ashley, we've talked about this when we went to Port Royal a couple of weeks ago. We got totally rained out up there, but being at the racetrack, there is nothing like being at the track.
There really isn't. You know, I know pay-per-view is great, and make sure if you can't get to the track, tune in. But there is nothing that beats actually being at the racetrack. I don't care what anybody says.
Really hasn't. We've done this Jackson thing in the last few years. We're gearing up for Knoxville. The Knoxville Nationals coming up in a little bit, and they have just absolutely rolled the red carpet out for us here at Huset's, out of Jackson. It is just going to be a special time. And then the month of money. And oh, by the way, we're also going into Pennsylvania Speed Week this week as well.
It's going to be a whole lot of racing.
A whole lot of racing. Racing all the time. Yes, it's the summertime, and Ohio Speed Week is over. We've got Pennsylvania Speed Week coming up, and then the month of money. So great stuff. We appreciate David Gravel joining us here on Wing Nation. More important than all of that, though, thank you for joining us here this week on Wing Nation, presented by Sage.